Yeah, man. Should we let it rip?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Hutch Harris. Hey, man, you'd be real proud of me because we share an intense mutual love for '90s female rockers, and I just got done recording a crusty acoustic punk version of a Sheryl Crow song called "All I Want to Do." Remember this song?
Oh yeah, I love that one.
Hell yeah! But I'm making it. My version sounds real evil. It's like a real happy song. It's like
It's a very happy song.
the
How'd you
soundtrack
make it
to
evil?
the soundtrack to LA and the Sunset Strip. Well, when you take those chords, whatever they are, I think it's like an E to a C to an A major, and you really hit them hard. It sounds it doesn't sound as sunny. It just sounds super grungy. I mean, the chords are pretty grungy.
Right.
But you take them into that bar country, bar stool country, they sound pretty happy. I don't know.
All right. That song reminds me of "Stuck in the Middle with You," that the Steelers Wheel song. You know that song?
Oh, she must have loved that song, huh?
Yeah, it always reminds me of that.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever met Sheryl Crow?
No, have you?
No, I never have. My buddy played drums for a few tours or something, but I don't know. It'd be cool to get her on the pod, but that seems like a high reach.
Dude, she's a superstar.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe she's one of those people that's like just hasn't really ever had a come down of her career. She's been like kind of at the top the whole time.
Right, right. She's like one of those people that like kind of like she's like country but pop still, so it's a huge audience.
Yeah, man. If you can like throw a splash of country in any type of music, that's such a nice dose. I don't know. I'm not a fan of like full on bro country, but a little twang in there is fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Bro country. That's most of the new country that's being made, I think, right?
Yeah.
At least on the mainstream level.
What would if we started a bro country band? What would you want to call it?
Whoa, I'm too out of the loop, man. I don't pay attention enough. Something about a pickup truck.
What if you had a podcast? Who would be like your top three like dream guests?
I'd love to get Kim Deal from the Breeders.
That's
one of my favorites. I don't know who else. What have you've interviewed a lot of crazy people here, right?
Butch Vig was on last week.
Oh yeah, how was that?
It was cool, man. I mean, he's the easiest dude ever. He's just the most Wisconsin man,
Right.
So he just has like a pretty calming presence, and it's like talking to your neighbor. It's like talking to my neighbor Crosby, it's
Thermals opened for Garbage early on, maybe like 2003 or 4, and then we went out with him to a bar after, and we just talked all night. Yeah, he was like the greatest dude to talk to. Just super friendly and super smart. I mean, he's made so many of my favorite records too. It's crazy the records that he made in the 90s.
Yeah. Was he a Thermals fan?
I don't know if he was a fan. I mean, he said he liked it, which is cool.
Yeah.
Even, did you ever hear, I think he may have done 2 records for Against Me. He did at least one. I think he might have done White Crosses.
Oh, I love that one.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I forget if he did that, but I know he did. What was the first? Oh, New Wave. I'm pretty sure he did. Good. Yeah, but like, come on, like Nevermind and Siamese Dream and, L7, Sonic Youth. It's crazy what records he did.
It seems like such a much more stable lifestyle, just like not going on the road and just producing records from like a cozy studio, It just seems like
sounds
the
awesome.
move.
What's he doing? What studio does he have now?
I don't know. He was working on a Silver Sun Pickups record, I think, as we speak.
Oh, cool.
So he must have his own shop out in LA.
Right.
I think we're going to be in his hometown at the same time this Friday in Viroqua for New Year's. So maybe I could drink a beer with him. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought like Charles Barkley would be like an amazing guest to get on the.
Oh yeah, that'd be crazy.
One of my favorite things to do on the internet is just go into YouTube deep dives and look up like greatest NBA fights, and Barkley's always in like at least 2 of the compilations.
Oh yeah. What's he doing these days?
Barkley's a commentator for TNT.
Right.
He's like the halftime show guy, and him and Shaq just like make fun of each other. And like, what a ridiculous job. All you do is like a 10-minute halftime segment, and then you're done for the day. That's
Right.
like,
Right.
what a gig.
Yeah. You probably get paid pretty well too.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know what's kind of your main project these days. Every time I talk to you, you've got like you've entered a new arena of arts and culture. Like one year you're doing stand up, the next year you're writing for blogs, then you're going on tour. What's your current thing?
I'm just sticking to recording these days because it's the best thing to do during the pandemic, I think, because you don't go anywhere. You don't see many people. It's safe. It's cozy here. I have a band with Jordan Hudson, who was the first Thermals drummer, and then our friend Sam plays bass. So we've had a band for a while. We started a band like before COVID, and then didn't practice, for most of last year, and then kind of got back to it this year. So we've been making a record here at my house, which we work on like most days.
And what's the band called?
It's called Clear Rivers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So this is an addition to the latest Hutch Harris album.
Yeah, and this is way more of like a collaborative band and record. Like, this doesn't sound like the record I just made at all. It's just much different.
Dude, I got to give you respect on the sounds you're getting out of your home studio on Analog
thanks,
Tape.
dude.
Dude, I'm super impressed. It sounds so good and warm and just clear. And are you playing all the drums and the bass too on your solo record?
Yeah. I played everything on that record.
Oh, cool. So do you record the guitars first just to a click track, or how does that work?
Yeah, I record the guitars to a click on tape, and then record the drums on tape, and then dump everything into Pro Tools. And then from there, I'll usually redo a bunch of the guitars or add more guitars, add bass and vocals. But yeah, it's just, for me, just getting the drums on tape is like the most important part.
Yeah. Oh, for the sounds. It's just, you just like the sounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it tough to run one of those reel-to-reel tape machines?
No, not at all. It's just, it's a little more time consuming because you're rewinding and fast forwarding and reeling up the tape, stuff you don't do on a computer. But no, it's not complicated. It's a little tough when you're by yourself because you're sitting at the thing and then you're running back and forth between the drums and the machines, getting your sounds and stuff. But once you get everything dialed in, then it's easy.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the most cathartic part of the whole creative process is making stuff, writing and recording. What happens? What does your brain do when you like get done with a bunch of cool songs and you're like, oh my God, I have to release this now. This is going to be a lot of work if I want people to hear it. Is that something that's daunting to you, or do you just kind of like put stuff out and not worry about it?
Yeah, I just put stuff out and I don't worry about it too much. There was such a big gap between when I finished that record and when it came out. Like it was probably like 8 months or so, just because I wanted to get vinyl. I wanted to do vinyl for this record. So I finished that record like in early February of this year. And then it came out in October.
All the Oxygen, yeah? That's the name?
Yeah. Suck Up All the Oxygen.
Dude, the cover art is so sweet. Did you make the cover
art? Oh, thanks,
dude.
Yeah. So there, the thing with, waiting for vinyl or whatever, you get a lot of time to work on the art and think about stuff like that. But for me, like, just once the record is done, I feel like all the pressure is off. To me, the pressure is just like, write the songs well, make sure the lyrics are really good. It takes me a long time to make a record at home because there's no time constraint, there's no money constraint, so there's no reason I can't just work on one song for months.
Right.
But so once it's done, yeah, I don't stress too hard these days about the release. It's just when it's done, when the record's printed, it comes out.
That's something I've always admired about you, because you've always had kind of like a oh fuck it attitude toward the whole thing. Like,
right.
Like everything's gonna be fine, nothing's that big of a deal. Whereas I feel like I'm wound like a lot tighter, or it's like, oh my God, we're going to the recording studio, got to be ready, I can't blow it, or whatever. I just feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself, which can be good and also terrible.
It's different going to a studio. I've definitely felt that way going and recording with someone else, especially when you're paying so much money for it because you're on such a, you got to get stuff done, and every hour that you're wasting, you might be paying like 50 or $100 an hour to get nothing done.
Man.
So, but that's what I'm saying about working at home. You don't have that same kind of pressure
Yeah. I mean,
on you.
the most fun I ever had making a record was with you and Spatola and Bo Sorensen
Oh
at
yeah, yeah.
Vanderslice's place, Life Upside Down. That was I think that's still our best record, and it was just
And how quick was that too? What was that, like
4
4 or
days of
5 days?
tracking. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's crazy. But see, you guys had, when you got someone like Spatola who really a drummer who doesn't need like 10 takes or whatever for each song. He was,
Yeah.
you guys were nailing stuff pretty quick.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
that guy's just such a beast.
yeah, he's great. And then Bo just works so quickly too. Like that dude's
Yeah.
crazy talented.
Yeah, man. I've never seen a man drink as much coffee as Bo Sorensen. I
Yeah.
want to be able to drink that much coffee. I want to be riding the lightning at all times.
I would like to be able, I'm like 1 cup max, and then I'll just like start having a nervous breakdown.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I don't know how people do that. Yeah.
Are you a pretty sensitive fellow to like all kind of stimuli and substance and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I cut myself out. Like I seriously drink 1 cup of coffee exactly a day and no more. And like early, like right now, like I can't, because I hate just like lying in bed, not being able to sleep because I drank too much coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Did you retire from dubage? Do you still smoke a little bit?
I smoke a little bit. It's weird. It's like when it all became legal here, then you're like, nah, it's not that special anymore. Yeah, I kind of got into the vapes for a little bit. I like it because you just do it a little bit. Like I don't understand like how people do like dabs and shit, and I don't know, there's such like an arms race going on with weed. Like it always has to be bigger and better and more, and I don't think you need to get, I mean, whatever, that's fine for anyone else. I don't need to get that crazy with it.
Yeah, I'm telling to any cannabis makers out there, somebody please make a diet marijuana that like lightweights can just, you know what I mean? Because it's like you can never find weed that just like really light that you don't just get rocked off your ass. Like
Right.
you just said, it's an arms race. That's a hilarious way to put it.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to make NASA levels of dubage.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess it's only a matter of time. Every 10 years, probably a new neat substance will be legal, Maybe mushies are next or whatever.
Yeah, we're working on mushrooms in Oregon. They legalized them for like medicinal use. So it's probably just a couple of years away till you can just be getting them at the corner store.
That's incredible. And
I know, it's crazy.
The MDMA is getting pretty far in like the scientific trials with PTSD, and I was in a huge lull a couple weeks ago, and I did a microdose of MDMA, and that really helped kind of pull me out, and it just kind of gives you good perspective and helps put the magnifying glass onto how silly some of these worries are that we worry.
Right. Wait, so how do you take a microdose then? Is it like a powder?
It's like a powder. Yeah.
Right.
And I just take this tiniest sliver of a fingernail and then lick it,
Right. That sounds like a good way to do that. I've done it, and it's always so heavy. Like, yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, I've heard that there's like a ton of uses for it, or it's been used a lot for PTSD. It seems like it helps people a lot.
Yeah, man. It's the gratitude drug, I think it's like, as long as you're not using it to party, it's such a great can be such a great net gain,
Right.
How has your brain been these days? You've been a pretty happy camper and feeling fulfilled and stuff?
Yeah, I've been pretty good. For me, I'm like someone who, as long as I like stay busy, then I feel okay about stuff. If like nothing's happening, I'll kind of, I don't know, my brain will wander, or for me, I just like keep working on stuff. I feel like working on any kind of art, writing, recording, playing, any kind of visual arts just keeps me centered and keeps me feeling okay.
What happens when when your brain attacks you, what does that look like?
It's just worry, it's just anxiety and dread. It's like you're saying, like silly stuff, just worrying about, I don't know, anything, just the future and what. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of times it's a faceless worry. You don't. I feel like a lot of times when I pull myself out of a feeling like that, it's asking myself, like, what are you really worried about? And then if you can't put an exact face to it, you're not really, it's just this it's this feeling of dread.
Yeah,
it's not specific.
Dread. Right. That's the worst part about existential dread is it's like a ghost. You can't define why you think it's all going to be over,
Right. But then once you remind your brain of that, I think you can move on. If you pinpoint it, and I used to, like Kathy and I used to talk about this, about like having performance anxiety or about just being nervous to go on stage. Eventually I was like, well, what's the worst? Like, what are we scared of, or what are we nervous about? What's the worst that could happen? And when you're talking about playing a show, what's really the worst that could happen? It's almost the worst thing that would happen to you on stage is nothing. Like, I can't even think of what goes wrong. Your equipment breaks, or the audience doesn't like it, or the audience I don't know. It's just, there's nothing to be afraid of. And it was like doing comedy really helped me get to that kind of way of thinking, because it was something that I was so nervous to do. But then eventually I was like, what am I scared of? Like, what's the real fear? What am I scared of? Well, no one's going to laugh or no one's going to like it. Who cares? And then when you get over that, there's really nothing to be scared of.
Oh man, I was so pumped when you started doing comedy. It seemed like, maybe last time we talked, you had some good stories about bombing, but it seemed like you had a real rhythm going. Like you were doing some like legit sets and stuff.
Oh yeah, it was great. I did a show about a month ago, where I did improv songs after comedian sets. So comedians would get up and do their bits, and then I would get up after every comedian and do songs based on what they had just done.
Ballsy.
So that was super fun, but that was like a little nerve-wracking too, because you're doing I had to do like 8 or 9 improv songs in one night, having never done that before.
That's a lot.
I just looked at it the way I looked at comedy, is you don't have to always follow the exact rules of whatever the show is. Mm-hmm. You're mostly just supposed to get up there and be funny. So if you can just remember that, it's okay.
So you have one of the funniest Twitters I've ever seen. Are you still? I think when you were doing stand-up, it seemed like you were using Twitter as like a testing ground for jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
I haven't. It's funny. I checked in with Twitter yesterday, and I was like, "This is every time I come back to it, it's just the same." I don't know. It's exhausting to me. Like I don't I use Instagram because it's a better way to post. You can do a live show and do post reels of whatever songs I'm working on. But even then, those apps just suck my time so quickly. All of a sudden an hour or two goes by and I've just been sucked into the app, not really doing anything creative, not getting on with the things I need to do in the day. So I try to stay, I like to pop into those things to post something and then just kind of get out and go back to real life.
Yeah, no scroll, hate a scroll. The more you scroll, the more you're you toast. I don't know. That didn't rhyme, but truth to that. What did they say? Post and ghost.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That could be something.
Yeah, everything. And that's the point of all those apps. The point of those apps, or their purpose, is to suck you in for as long as they can, to show you more ads. And to just keep you stuck in that world.
What an absurd concept. We're going to come up with these apps that really reveal how close you and your friends are and really connect you. Psych!
Right. Well, and we do need them. If we don't have, without these apps, I don't know, how do you tell people you're playing a show? or that you have a new record out or anything like that. We are at the point where we need them for what we're trying to do. But there's got to be a way for us to use them and not be owned by them in that way where it's sucking our life away.
I know this guy in Germany, but he's like an older veteran. He quit all social media and tours for a living still.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Just doesn't use social media. So I think maybe he still uses email, but email seems like to be like a strong pillar that's always going to be there and maybe a little bit more sane. So I don't know. I do fantasize about that, like being able to quit the internet and like still promote gigs in some cool way and send people postcards or whatever. But something I could never actually do, but it sounds fun and romantic.
It would just be, you'd have to hire someone else to do it for you, I think. You would still be posting, but it just wouldn't be you. It would be someone else posting for you. And then you could ignore it all.
Man, yeah. I don't know what's to come, but I've talked to some of my younger, more in touch friends who are like agents in the industry, and one or two of them have told me like, hey, live touring, you got maybe 15, 20 years and then it's going to be toast because the kiddos aren't going to want to pay for shows, and then everything's going to be hologram. So you're going to be like making hologram concerts. And I don't know. The more I think about tech, the more I just want to save money for a cabin in the woods. And I sound like a classic old guy, but it's a place of peace for me, like sitting on a lake smoking cigars with my feet in an old lawn chair, you know?
No, it sounds great. Sounds good for me.
What's your ideal retirement look like?
I like that same kind of idea, like maybe out in the woods. I would like by the coast, I think. Definitely somewhere less traveled, somewhere. It would be nice to, I would always like to have like a creative space, like wherever I'm living, as long as there's like a little studio here or just like, somewhere to where you could just be creative. And I don't love the idea of sitting around doing nothing, like, at the end of the day or something, but I like to keep working on stuff. That's what like makes me happiest.
Would that be one of those things where it's like we can romanticize about like living in a cabin in the woods on a lake, and then you actually do it after decades of thinking about it, and then you actually go and get the place, and then you move out there and realize you can't handle it at all?
Yeah, no, I think it happens to people. It does happen to people, and then they just move away, I think. Yeah, a lot of people think like that sounds great, and then they kind of go nuts when they're just like stuck out in the middle of the forest or whatever.
It's so true, but I think you kind of have to go nuts to grow and expand as a human, don't you think?
Yeah, I always think whenever, or it's part of the creative process too, like there's always some level of fear or anxiety that is pushing you forward to do stuff. Yeah, if you probably just felt okay about everything all the time, you wouldn't get anything done.
When's the last time you like really lost the plot entirely and had like a big trough or hit a big low point?
I mean, I get stuck with stuff, but I don't let it. One of the lessons of like, being locked down for like almost all of last year for me was that there's so much that doesn't matter. Like if I'd be working on a song and it would feel so good if I'm working all day on a song, 8 or 10 hours, and I'm like, this is such a great use of time. I'm getting stuff done. I'm enjoying it. But then also, I need to feel the opposite way. If I don't do it, if I don't get anything done, it's fine as well. Like it doesn't really matter. So either way, I feel okay about stuff.
Yeah, I feel you there. What do you want to have kids, or you think about like the classic societal templates that we all kind of ponder most days? Is that something you want to have kids, or
sometimes? Yeah. Sometimes I wish I had kids. Sometimes I wake up so glad I don't have kids. Mm-hmm. I got the dog. That's enough. That's something to take care of. I think it's nice to have something to take care of. Something that depends on you and keeps you kind of in a sane place that way. But yeah, I don't know. What about you? Are you going to have kids? You're still young.
I mean, I mean, you met my ex-girlfriend Anna. We had
Right.
talked about it forever, and we were gonna do it, and it was like this just it was always on the table, and she was way more ready than I was, and I think that kind of
Right.
gave her a little bit of unease that I was just not ready at the time, and I think that's kind of what kind of how we kind of drifted apart a little bit over time, and we're still close, very close, and everything, but. Yeah, man, I'm definitely up for it, but it's one of those things where it's like it would almost have to happen haphazardly.
Oh, wow.
Because
Okay.
if I think if
Just
I you know what I
accidentally
mean,
have a
if
kid.
I was thinking about it too much and planning for it, I think I would just spend so much time freaking out and overanalyzing that I would maybe never do it. And I think honestly, I
Right.
think that's how most kids are born. I think people are just like, well, let's roll the dice, and if it happens, we're all a mistake. I don't know.
Right. I mean, a lot of kids, yeah, are like, well, I'm pregnant. I guess we're having a kid.
And then you just do it. Yeah, and then it kind of solves your problem for you because it kind of just answers your it rolls it answers that 50-50 you have in your head. I don't know.
Well, it might solve one problem, but then you have you have a new problem. Yeah, bringing someone into this world.
I would imagine it creates a lot more problems, but I don't know. It'd be fun to have a miniature version of your.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's still like sounds like fun to me, and I think if I was with the right person who wanted to, yeah, the last person I was dating for like years, she didn't want to. I think if she had wanted to, then I would have had. Then we would have maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Like I said, I go back and forth with it. Right, like today, I'm glad that there's not a kid in the other room that I have to go take care of for the rest of my life.
So at the on your final days of living on a house on the lake, that won't be like a regret that you didn't have a kid. Like you'll be happy either way, huh?
Maybe I'll have a kid then. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'll have the accidental kid like you're talking about.
Yeah, the big question nowadays in the world just being so kooky and chaotic and infinite stimulus at all times, and the whole Instagram culture, whatever. It's like the odds of your kid not being an asshole, maybe 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter what you do. Yeah, you run that risk probably, right?
I don't know anything about anything, Hutch.
Yeah, I can't say I know much either.
What's Portland like? It's kind of funny how, for all intensive purposes, Portland has COVID and Wisconsin doesn't.
Yeah, you guys don't have COVID right now?
We don't have COVID, or people don't think we have COVID.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it snowed a bunch in Portland this week. Like it snowed last night again. It's not like you guys get it, but it did. It's big for us. I haven't been paying attention to what the COVID situation is. I heard it's about to get a lot worse. So we'll see, I guess.
It's like the lowest common denominator of small talk is to bring up COVID these days. So
I mean, there's nothing new. I don't know what there is new to say about it. Like it's just gonna keep going for a while.
I'm gonna come visit you though. My best friend Scotty just moved to Portland, so I think
Nice.
March. I think I'm gonna come over for a long power weekend. We should record a couple tracks or something.
Yeah, for sure. What does he do? Does he a music guy?
He moved out there for a lady, and then he got a job driving a beer truck for McMenamins. You ever drink beer?
Cool.
You know McMenamins?
Oh, yeah, it's huge. Yeah.
They're like craft beer overlords over there.
Yeah, and they own a ton of the bigger music venues like Crystal Ballroom and Edgefield. But yeah, I think they have maybe like 25 or 30 or maybe more like venues, restaurants, pubs, etc.
Okay,
They're huge.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to go drive around in his beer truck and then we'll track some songs. That'll be a good
nice
good trip.
That's a good plan. That's a very Portland plan to have. Record music and drive around in a beer truck. We'll try to get you some mellow weed, some low grade weed.
Yeah, find me some low gravity shit, Hutch.
There definitely is some. I mean, CBD. You can get like some CBD joints, but then it might just make you tired. I don't know what. I don't know.
I love overdosing on CBD. That's one of my favorite things to do. Because when
Just
CBD
passing
caps
out.
came out, I was like,
What?
what? There's no THC. Why would anyone care?
I know, yeah.
And then you can get blasted on CBD. You just have to take a ton of it.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely can. I've seen it happen. I mean, for me, I guess a lot of people like get some real pain relief from it.
Can you get addicted to CBD?
I think you can get addicted to anything
I think so.
if you just like it enough and you get used to it and you count on it every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure like decaffeinated tea, you can get addicted to it. Just every day you need your decaf tea or you go nuts.
Have you ever gotten addicted to anything?
I mean, I feel like anything I do every day, coffee, like how is that not an addiction? I've like quit coffee a couple times, but man, it'll be like those first like 2 or 3 days, I just want to die, you know? Just sleep all day. Yeah, you can do it if you just have nothing else to do, no work or school or anything, just sleep all day.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because I just did that 2 weeks ago. And
Oh, yeah.
there's got to be a better way than just stopping cold turkey. Like just get like a little eyedropper of coffee and just like slowly wean off.
Just drop it in your eyes.
You know, it's like, what would happen if you put caffeine directly into your eyeball?
I'd be scared to put anything in my eye, I think.
Yeah, it could be fun. I don't know.
It definitely could be fun. Yeah, you'd probably want to research it first before you do it.
Is kratom a thing in Portland?
It is, yeah. And actually, I had heard not someone I know personally, but like a friend of a friend getting super hooked on it. I mean, I think it's close to like an opioid, right? Do you know about it?
Yeah, it's well, they actually use it to wean heroin addicts off of
Right.
heroin. But it's kind of, I mean, I think it's nice in tiny doses because it sparks creativity and you make a tea out of it. It's just a ground up plant root.
Right.
It's like started, I think, in Southeast Asia and they use it as kind of a social drink there. But yeah, it's definitely a small dose thing because like you can really get the blues from it the next day if you
Really?
eat a bunch of kratom. But it's legal in a lot of states now. And I've written a shitload of songs with like little small doses of kratom tea and
Really?
yeah, it's I like it a lot.
That sounds cool. It doesn't make you tired, or does it eventually?
No, it's it kind of the greens. There's a couple different strands, but the green one keeps you stimulated, so it keeps you focused. And yeah, I'm a big fan. I hate to like endorse anything too hard because
Right.
I had this guy come up to me, a sweet dude, who kind of follows the podcast. He's like, "Hey man, I heard you talking about kratom. I bought a shitload of it, and I'm really into it now." And I'm,
Shit,
I'm like, "Oh,
yeah.
no." I'm like, "Just take it easy. It's great, just once in a while, you know." Yeah, you know.
Yeah, you don't want to be on the hook when he's holding up liquor stores to get more money to buy kratom for his kratom addiction.
Oh man, and this is like one of the sweetest guys. He's like, I love him. I love seeing him when he comes to shows. He's like such a music fan. He's got a sweet face. You know those guys with just those sweet faces? You just want to pinch their cheek and hug them. It's like if I get this guy addicted to kratom, I'm going to kill myself.
What do you have shows coming up? You got a tour booked?
I'm going to South Africa next month.
You are cool.
The Belly of COVID Deluxe.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's their? Yeah, are you not afraid of the COVID over there or anywhere?
I've got vaccines up my butt 3 times, so I should be good to go.
Right.
And apparently, like 80% of the people there have had COVID at some point, so they're just like kind of immortal.
It's just working through.
Yeah, it's my favorite place in the world. I know I've talked to you about it before.
Yeah.
It's just I'll go there, do a bunch of leisure, write some songs with I got some of my best friends there, a guy I collaborate with a lot, John Shaban, and yeah, man, and then just play a couple shows and enjoy the world because I've been a workaholic for too long. I need to slow down at times, you know.
Yeah, seriously, man.
I mean,
how's the book doing?
Book's killing, man. The book is
cool.
It's kind of given me a new life, and it's such a fun like side piece to all the music. And I'm selling a shitload of books to these like these like kind of hip gift stores. Every town has like one.
Oh
or two
right.
or three
Oh
of them.
yeah.
It's like
Oh yeah. That's all we have
like,
here. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're run by like a hip lady in their 30s or 40s, and
Mm-hmm.
those they all take the book, and I've just been selling them like legitimately Johnny Appleseed style, like door to door, because
Right.
as well as it's doing, I can't get like these overlord distributors on board, so I'm just doing it myself, and it seems to be the
Right.
move, so.
So what do they order, like a few copies at a time, or like a little box of them, or
Yeah, they'll take like 5 or 10 or 20 copies even sometimes at
nice.
wholesale price, and then I kind of keep a database of everyone who's carrying the book, and every month I check in, and I have one person who helps me out, and we'll kind of follow up with them, and if they need more, we'll send them more, and just kind of keep it in a spreadsheet, and it's not totally unmanageable. So I think if you go through a giant distributor with a book, and like this book was selling at Barnes and Noble, from what I read into, I would get like $2 a sale.
Right. You would get a
And
small royalty.
so you don't even actually make money, whereas here you're getting 12.
Right.
So it's cool, man. It seems like a sustainable thing. And I mean, you're a big DIY guy. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I had something I was just going to ask you. Because you've kind of drifted between doing stuff with labels and then stuff on your own. Is it fun to have a foot in both worlds?
Yeah, I really love Bandcamp now. I was kind of wasn't like opposed to it I was like, I don't know, after being on labels, self-releasing sounded like it didn't sound that exciting. But then as soon as I started doing it, I was like, this is great. And then the first record I put out was just digital only, but then getting vinyl printed and putting that out myself, that's been huge for me. Like that's really it's like really sustainable. And yeah, I had someone like offer to put out my record before it came out, and I was like, well, I already have the vinyls already on the way, so I'm not gonna sign to anyone. And also the amount of money I make selling my own compared to what I would make on a label is insane. Like there's no I don't know what could make it worth it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that would make it worth it for me to sign to a label, because you can even selling you just make your money back so quickly.
Right.
Especially because I'm not paying, like I don't need a label to give me a huge advance for recording.
Right.
Because I do it all here. So that's, if you need, you might need a label if you need a bunch of money. Labels they're mostly just banks with PR departments, or they'll hire PR out of house. It's mostly you're just looking for someone to give you money up front, but it always comes out of your end anyway. So since I don't have to pay for recording, I don't need a label.
That's amazing, man. So you've probably built such a following in the past with your Sub Pop releases and Saddle Creek that you print like 1,000 copies and then you just sell them through your site, and you can kind of live on that and have it pay your rent kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What a cool feeling, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah.
It's like,
and then I just love it's total control over the product, from the creation to the production, just like every step.
Yeah, it's such a, I think it's easy to kind of chase the lightning and always want to be playing bigger rooms or selling more records, but it's like you really only need whatever the number that social scientists come up with, like 1,000 true fans or 3,000 true fans or whatever it is. It's like, as long as you kind of nurture your existing audience, it's pretty sweet to be able, you can make a nice living,
Right. And also for touring, like I don't really like to tour, and I feel like I did it enough. So on that end, yeah, like that touring is nice to have a label. I mean, what you really want is PR. You just need publicity to tell people about your tour. So maybe that's your label, or maybe it's someone your label pays for, or that you pay for through your label. But if I'm not touring, all that whole part is out of the equation. So that's not something I have to worry about.
Isn't life great without touring?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure there's people just on the other line like, fuck you guys, like listening to this, like I wish I could tour, but it is great, and it's such a privilege and that whole thing, but it definitely beats you down over the years.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to tour, I'm not going to tell anyone not to tour. There's plenty of people that like touring a lot. So that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
go do it. Like,
And it
it's
is,
just,
when it's working, it is a magical feeling. It is one of the
yeah.
best
And
feelings.
performing is great. Like, I love performing, but there's another like 22 and a half hours each day that you're not doing, that you're not performing, and it's not creative. And just like, I don't like the idea of like just being in a van for 12 hours a day. That's not romantic anymore to me, and that's not enjoyable.
Dude, one of the worst gigs I ever played was the only time I ever played in Portland, and you were there. It was that
With the Waypost, but that was,
oh
I mean,
my
yeah, that's a
God,
noisy place, but I thought
brutal.
that was a fun show.
Really? Oh my God. I was in my head. There was like 15 people like sitting there with their arms crossed and like the Portland outfits and oversized glasses and winter hats in the summer. And I was like, oh my God, they hate me. Hutch Harris is here. He's going to think I suck. The whole thing. And there was like a suggested donation jar at the door that that nobody manned.
Wow.
Nobody
Oh, fuck.
enforced it.
Yeah.
There was a $3 suggested donation jar. So at the end of the night, I made like $18. And it was
Right.
like, oh my
Right.
God, I need to call the game now.
I mean, Portland's a gnarly place as far as that goes, as far as like having a good show. I've talked to so many bands that just didn't enjoy Portland. And it's, the thing is, it's still a small city, but it's just super saturated with art and music, and mostly music. So you're just kind of up against that when you're trying to get some attention here, especially if you're out of town.
Yeah. So maybe I should be a one and done in Portland. I don't know.
No, you got to keep trying, because you can't give up. You just got to keep, you got to push through.
Must persevere. I asked you this last time, but this always brings me so much joy to hear about other bands' hilarious worst shows. You got anything that comes to mind as like a comedic soul crusher?
One of the worst shows was actually we played was in Milwaukee. Actually, like on one of the first tours we did, but this was just like touring, like playing people's houses and stuff, and like we played this show in someone's basement, and everyone was on mushrooms. And I'd say everyone being like the 12 people that were there. Yeah. I think they all lived there, but everyone was just wasted. And we played, and then we were touring with this band, Cerberus Shoal from Maine. I don't know if you know them. They're great. They were kind of like an emo band, but they were like hippies too, so they were kind of trippy. And they just didn't play. They had loaded all their stuff. They had like 7 or 8 people in the band. They had loaded all their stuff. Like, we played, and then like they just started loading all their stuff out just because it was too. And when I think back on it now, I don't even know like what the problem was. I mean, the kids were fucking weird, but I don't think it was weird. Like, you just play and leave. But they were like, I don't know. They were like too freaked out by the scene.
That's a drive-by right there.
Yeah. Seriously. You just leave.
It would have been cooler if they never loaded in and just fucked off and said like, we're
right.
Good. But the fact that they loaded in, and it was kind of a bitch move to load out right there,
If you load all your stuff in, you might as well play, because loading is like the worst part. If you're like, fuck it, why should we even bother loading? Let's just drive away. I understand that. But if you've already done the work to load in, you might as well fucking play.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost more soul crushing to just leave at that point. It's like, the feeling like leading up to a gig, you can tell might be kind of shot, or people aren't like super into it. There's only 15 people there. It's like, as long as you do the gig, at least you get to explode out all that shitty energy that you had pent up, and that's good catharsis right there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's hilarious. Your worst gig was in my hometown, and my worst gig was in your hometown.
But then, having said that, like, I feel like all the other shows we played in Milwaukee have been awesome. And it's just like, that's such a first tour thing, to be. A lot of times basement shows are amazing, and house shows are great, but, it can definitely go the other way. But yeah, I feel like after that, we always had great shows in Milwaukee.
Dude, Milwaukee seems like the most thermals town ever. This is like blue collar guitar rock and roll city. You know what I mean?
Right.
So any time. I was thinking, I had this fantasy to throw like a geek rock fest or like a dork rock fest in Milwaukee with like,
Oh yeah,
and you
we
guys would
should.
have to headline. It's like all like the best power pop of bands that aren't trying too hard all on one bill.
Rad, yeah.
Could be something.
It's the not trying too hard fest.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I think it's kind of funny because one of the some of the feedback I've gotten of the year and a half on this podcast, a lot of people bring up the topic that you and I talked about of punishers at gigs. Like, it's a consistent thing. People come up to me at shows like, I listen to the pod with Hutch and you. I don't want to be a punisher, but I just want to say.
Wait, I'm forgetting now. What is the punisher?
So punishers are people that just come up and talk to you and never stop. Like, they just punish you incessantly with no self-awareness, and you'll have to walk away or call in someone to deflect. Otherwise, you will just take a beating conversationally in one direction for hours.
I forget if I told you there was one tour where I was like, I'm not gonna let this get me down, and I'm gonna out talk anyone that that comes up to me like that, and like I'm gonna talk to them until they leave. And there would be like specific people in every city, because you get to know that, it's always like you go to a city 3 or 4 times a year, and then there's always one dude who wants to like talk all night. You're gonna see that guy at the show. And so a lot of times I would just be like, just get a drink after the show and then just like sit with this guy, and then like just start asking them about like their lives and all this stuff. And eventually they'd be like, oh man, I gotta go.
Taste of their own medicine. A repunish. Never thought about that.
Well, and it wasn't like a revenge thing. It actually turned out to be like, I didn't feel like, yeah, I showed him. Like, I felt like, oh, that was, I liked having that conversation.
Well, because the last
it just depends on, what you want to do with your time, I think.
And the last thing you want to do is talk about yourself, or, you know what I mean? It's like, because like, you go on the road, and it's an honor. People want to ask you these things and hear these things, but odds are you've probably had that conversation many times. So I would much rather have people just walk up to me and just start talking about themselves. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, yeah. And a lot of times people would. Like, I thought that a lot of people they wanted to tell me, they knew what I was doing. They know what I do. They wanted to tell me what they're doing, with their life and what their band does and whatever, which is fine with me. Yeah, like you're saying, like that's more interesting. I had told my story a million times. I would much rather hear. But then if you just like listen to someone, you ask them a bunch of questions, then eventually you run out of things to say.
Sure. Yeah, and I hope I don't sound ungrateful, because I'm obviously very honored for anyone at all that wants to talk to me or wants to talk to our band or has any interest in what we do. It's obviously a huge honor. It's just that point where where you're just kind of just like standing there just taking it way too long, and there's like a line of people waiting there to buy merch, and the person just won't let you sell merch.
Right.
So
that's when it's kind of a hassle.
Oh, it's all good. Any other, while we wind it down here, any other like really bizarre places that the road has taken you to, maybe outside of the U.S.?
We went to China. I wouldn't say it's bizarre, but it was amazing. Just that was the most of all the places we went to, because we mostly just did U.S. and Europe and a lot, but going to China, it was really just like such a different, not even the shows weren't that different, because the shows were all expats.
Yeah.
From mostly like US and England and Australia, but just like being there and just being in this other world. Like if there was one place I would go back to, it would definitely be China, just because the food was amazing, and it was just I just felt like I was just in a completely different world than I am here.
I wanted to do that too. I just like, I would be so spooked, like they would misinterpret one of my lyrics and then like pull up in a white van and throw a bag over my head and like take me to prison. You know what I mean? With the police.
Oh, that could happen here too.
Yeah, I don't know. Really. Maybe this is, you hear so much about the surveillance state over there, and it has to be real. But you think of these things in your brain, and the fear definitely takes over more than it's actually
right. Well,
real.
sing about the Chinese government in your songs.
Love the Chinese government. Just want to put that out there. I've never spoken illy of the Chinese government.
In your lyrics.
Yeah. All right, so you and I, we got some dates coming up. October, North Korea, Pyongyang residency.
Okay.
For Hutch Harris. Sure. And Kim Jong-un is closing, so that'll be a big bill.
Well, I want to stay at the Hotel of Doom. Do you know the Hotel of Doom?
No, that sounds good.
Oh, look it up. It's amazing. It's in Pyongyang.
Is it? It's real?
Oh yeah, it's this massive. I mean, there's a real name. It's only. It's not actually. I mean, it is actually called the Hotel of Doom, but not officially. But if you look it up, it's just this amazingly insane, scary building. That they've been working on maybe for like 30 years or so, that looks kind of finished. But yeah, check it out. Look it up online.
Wouldn't it be incredible if North Korea was that self-aware, like in on the joke, where they actually named it the Hotel of Doom, like they're doing?
Yeah.
Well, cool, brother. We've been going almost a good hour. You got any projects you want to punt or?
Just my record, Suck Up All the Oxygen. It's at hutchharris.bandcamp.com.
It's a sweet record. Your record before that is also awesome. Obviously,
right. Thanks.
If I've pumped up the Thermals a ton on this podcast, but if you people haven't checked out the Thermals, hugely influential band for me. Hutch and I made a record together a few years ago, and what's a good starting point? The Body, the Blood, the Machine. That's a classic if you like alternative punk rock music. So. Yeah, brother, it's great talking to you. You're always one of the easiest people on the planet to talk with. So,
no, thanks, man. You too.
We'll hang out in real life in a month or two.
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool, brother. Much love.
Okay. Later, dude.